With the brand new Ork Codex releasing soon, we thought we'd celebrate by making our own Orky contraption. And of course, what is more Orky than rolling random dice? The new Ork Codex has a veritable plethora of opportunities to roll on random charts. From bubble chucking guns to power tripping killicans, there's more reasons than ever to go wild and roll randomly. One chart in particular inspired me to orkify this kid's dice popper. In the Dread Mob detachment, there's a rule called Try Dat Button. The rule grants a random effect to the unit using it. As the flavor text does describe, inventive mechs wire all manner of customized gubbins, suspicious extras, and inviting big red buttons to weapons into the cockpits of their clanking can creations. Eager orcs are always enthusiastic to try out such random innovations to see what sort of destruction they can cause. Sometimes this can be risky, but that's half the fun. Sound familiar? I mean, it's basically the reason you play orcs in the first place, right? I grabbed a 2-pack of these educational dice poppers and got to work. In order to make it proper Orky, I'd have to, appropriately, dismantle it. This proved to be kind of harder than I expected. I was actually really impressed with the manufacturing, which somehow had the popper sealed tight without using any glue or exposing easily removable screws. Cue in a set of clippers and an aggressively Orky attitude, and I was able to break the thing open, separating the component parts out. First, I needed to rough the button up, shaving off chunks and cuts with an X-Acto knife to create harsh edges that would take nicely to the paint. I wanted to make the device feel like it was made by a mech, so I grabbed a sheet of plastic card and sliced up several bands and triangles, being sure to weather them where appropriate. With a little super glue, these were easily attached to the button. It needed to be Orky, but also sturdy, since I knew it was going to get beat up a lot, so I tried to follow the natural curves of the popper as it existed. Having made many Orky contraptions before, I knew a great way to take something polished and make it feel Orky was to add rivets to it, representing crude seams and metal beaten into shape. To do this, I picked up some small lengths of round plastic card, which I sliced and diced into short cylinders. These were then painstakingly glued onto each corner of the plastic card plates. It was almost there, but it needed a bit more character. Digging through my bits bins, I found parts from a Crom-like orc terrain set and popped out some of the giant teeth, affixing them to areas that needed a bit more visual attention. For the final modeling element, I grabbed little handles from various 40k sets and attached them as well, completing my Orky build. Now at this point, I know it looks more like a questionable kid's toy than an Orky know-what, but the painting phase would do wonders here. I started by priming the popper with Vallejo Black, being sure to give it a nice long rest before continuing, since uncured paint would come right off the glossy underlayer. From there, I proceeded to add some off-white to any areas I knew would become checkers or orange. For those checkered portions, I cut up little squares from masking tape and attached them to the device in a grid. These would stay on until much later in the painting process. A coat of gray, a wash of Drakenhof Nightshade, and a spritz of orange later, and I was nearly done with the base layers, being sure to paint the teeth in my signature Vallejo Blue-Green and Emerald. At this point, the base colors were done, but I needed some weathering, so I sponged on a layer of gray onto areas where paint might start to chip off, and followed up with some pure silver where the popper was scraped straight through to the supposed metal underneath. I added some slight orange for a rust effect, and the popper was complete. All I needed was a suitably Orky dice to go with it. It seemed like such a shame to put a nice, clean dice in an Orky project, so I put a Kill Team Ork dice through the same weathering treatment, finishing both off with a heavy matte varnish. With that, all that was left to put the thing back together and seal it up, ready to pop again and press dat button. This was a fun afternoon project inspired by the Ork Codex and my friend Chris, whose offhanded joke completely sidetracked me from building more killicans. Hope you all like it, and let me know if you end up making your own Ork-inspired dice popper.